here to talk about anticipated reads for 2026. Yeah. Yep, somehow we're already at the time where I make my anticipated reads video for the next year. I do 3 a year. I do one in November, and then I do one in March-ish of the following year and one in July-ish. So we just got a rotating cycle of anticipation, and it's just wild to me that it is in fact time once again to do this. So yeah, I guess we should just get into it. I should say, because I'm just reading a lot less than I was a couple of years ago, part of what I've been trying to do, because if I anticipate too much, I will try to read it all and then I will feel disappointed that I haven't gotten to everything I was anticipating. So I have a much more mindful approach, I think, to what I am mentally confident that I would like to read in terms of new releases. And I feel good. I feel good about that balance this year in 2025, so I want to keep that energy going into 2026. So I have about, I think, 15 or 16 books to tell you guys about, and I am going to follow what I've started doing, which is to go, first we'll talk about next books and series that I'm reading, then we'll go to authors I've already read from and like, and then we'll finish up with just books that sound good for more random reasons than those categories. Oh, and it says I have 18 books on here. Okay, still under 20. I think that's reasonable. Okay, so let's start with things that are next installments in series that I'm interested in. So first of all, Everyone in This Bank is a Thief by Benjamin Stevenson. This is the next installment in the Ernest Cunningham series, and my favorite definitely was the second one, which is Everyone on This Train is a Suspect, just because trope-wise I really like that. But this is one where there's a bunch of people being held hostage in a bank, and multiple people were intending to rob the bank, I believe, and so he's trying to figure out, like, I think it's more of kind of a thriller plot with some mystery baked in. So I think that'll be a fun kind of setting for the next book. The writing in this one isn't always my favorite. Like, I think it definitely has, it improved in the second book, but I think that the humor and just the sort of like meta-ness of it is very much for me. So I'm excited about that. That one, I don't know if that's out already in Australia, but it's coming out, I think, in like January or February-ish here in the States. So there's Everyone in This Bank is a Thief. Then the next In Death book, which is Stolen in Death by J.D. Robb. I do already have an advanced reader copy of it. I am planning on reading that this month, so I should have a review for you guys soon. Don't start with this book. It's number 62 in the series. Ideally, you would go all the way back to the beginning, but I get that that is a big ask. So usually in my Goodreads reviews, I try to remember to tell people if I think it's a book they could start with. So I can't remember off the top of my head which ones I've said that about. I probably should go back at some point and come up with my definitive, like, here's where you could start with In Death if you don't want to do the full commitment, which again, honestly, I truly do understand, because it is, I mean, they're so enjoyable if you like them, but it is a lot to get through 62 books. So then I'm very excited for this. Nobody's Baby by Dorothy Gentleman. This is by Olivia Waite, and this is the sequel to her book that she put out this year, which I would call Aging Sherlock Lesbians in Space. Is that kind of a log line for it? It's that. So they're on a spaceship, and in the last book there was a mystery. Well, I don't want to spoil. These are novellas, and the mysteries are kind of slight. So don't know if that premise sounds good to you. Just go read it. I thought that was one of the better mysteries I've read this year, and I'm really excited to see if the sequel holds up. I've read Olivia Waite's romances, her historical romances, and enjoyed those. And she's transitioned into this genre, I think, very seamlessly. Really nice writing, good characterization. I mean, it's a novella, so there's limitations there, but you know. For what is possible without word count, I feel like she just did a great job. I'm really excited for that one. Then we have, three. I'm looking at the last three I've got. There's three more series, and all three of these are just frickin' bangers. Okay, so we've got Sea of Charms, which is the third book in the Spell Shop series from Sarah Beth Durst. This is a cozy fantasy romance series that is pretty much exactly what I want from cozy fantasy romance. It is cute without being cutesy. It has really lovely community development and communal vibes. It has enough of a plot. Like these have, you know, some stakes to them. And the world building is cool. It's sort of like at the end of an empire, it's crumbling, and so it's people kind of like leaving the city. So there's some world building stuff and some like plotness happening, but it's just a really nice balance. So I'm assuming that this third one, it doesn't matter. Like I pre-ordered it, I'll read it. Do you know what I mean? Like it doesn't really matter. I have transitioned. I've gotten offered some of these as ARCs, and I'm like, if I know I'm just gonna buy it anyway, then I should just wait and do that. So I've gotten better about doing that. And in this case, I was like, I'm just gonna buy this, so I don't need to worry about the ARC situation. But I'm assuming that the main character is the lady captain that we met in the last one, and I don't know who her love interest will be, or interests. I don't know anything about her, what she's into, so we'll find out in this book, but I'm really excited for that. Then another extremely exciting development is that T. Kingfisher, I think it's like next August maybe, has Daggerbound coming out, which is the sequel to Swordheart, which is in the overall, what I call the World of the White Rat series from her. So I would consider the Clockwork Boys duology, the Paladin series, and then the Swordheart series to be kind of a piece. And I really think you should read all of them to get the full enjoyment, but Swordheart of all of these books is the best, like, singular book, probably, I would say. It was so good, and it left off with some question marks, and then the Paladin series has also raised some question marks, and I'm now very excited for this sequel to find out a little bit more of what's going on with these swords that have people in them, have paladins in them. And I think this one, I believe, is a male-male romance. And I thought I've only read one of those from her, but I thought it was good. It was the third Paladin series, third book in the Paladin series. So I'm excited for that. And then, yeah, so I hope this just means we're gonna, like, there's some bigger picture questions I have about the gods and what's going on there that I'm hoping will get addressed in this book. And then finally, the third of the senior year adventures from Percy Jackson should be coming out this year, or in 2026. We had one in 2023 and 2024. We didn't have one this year, so I'm really hoping that they do in fact get that book out. Because it's just so cozy to me, so enjoyable. I love the Percy Jackson series. I read them as an adult, so it's not nostalgia. I just think that the original series had just that perfect middle grade fantasy coziness for me that I enjoyed. It had the right amount of stakes, and it's age appropriate, but still, I think, especially the later books, readable and enjoyable for adults. So but I've also been really enjoying this spinoff, like the senior year one, because it's more YA. And I think that it's showing like Percy and his friends having really nice development, maturity, etc., but still, still YA and still the characters. So I'm excited for that one to wrap up. I mean, I don't want it to be done, but I'm excited to see what the conclusion is. So those are the series I'm excited about. Now going back, let's talk about authors I've read from before and I'm interested in a book they have coming out in 2026. So the first one is from Simone St. James, which is A Box Full of Darkness. And this one seems to be a haunted house story of siblings coming back to their childhood home, but in their past, their little brother disappeared. And so I think it's like haunted house sibling story. I really like a haunted house story. The sibling thing and disappearance I'm not as sure about, but Simone St. James is an excellent writer, so I'm intrigued enough by that I will probably check that out. Then there's a new George Saunders book that's coming out. He doesn't drop those very often, and I still need to read Lincoln and the Bardo, but I loved his short stories. I can't remember how many of those collections he had, but whichever ones I read, I remember loving them. So I'm intrigued by this. The setup, I would definitely call him literary fiction, but he does a lot of, I guess, magical realism or sort of surrealism in his stuff, so that's the vibe. And in this, there's a woman who I guess is some kind of like Grim Reaper type figure, and it starts off like with her grim reaping for this oil tycoon who's dying, and I think it's sort of like her doing like a big sort of Ghost of Christmas Past kind of plot with him. And I don't know if Vigil is meant to be a reference to Virgil. I don't know. Anyway, he's just such a good writer that I'm intrigued, and I'll be interested to see what the reviews are like and kind of get a confirmation of what the vibe is. But I definitely have that on my radar. A book, an author I haven't read from since I was in college, I think, but who I really enjoyed his historical mysteries back in the day is Arturo Perez Reverte. I mean, so he is in translation. So some of this is that you have to wait until, like, as an English reader, I have to wait and just waiting to see what all they decide to translate. But this particular one, I thought the plot in particular sounded just up my alley. The comps are for White Lotus, Benjamin Stevenson, and Anthony Horowitz, so that definitely is for me. And it's a locked room mystery set in 1960 on a Greek Isle resort. So I think that this is an isolation, like maybe an isolated close circle mystery kind of situation. And he's an author I've read and enjoyed from before. I think that the original was published maybe in 2023 and got mixed reviews, but I'm definitely, because I like him and because the plot sounds like it's up my alley, I think that's one I am likely to give a chance. Then we have The Fox and the Devil by Kirsten White. This is one that I probably will wait to see what the reviews are like. So they offered this to me in ARC, and I was just like, I'm not confident enough. But it's a sapphic take on the daughter of Van Helsing kind of going on a serial killer hunt. So I think that there's vampires, and I don't know. I mean, I like Kirsten White's writing. That's an intriguing setup. Her execution can be hit or miss, I think, for folks. Though controversially, I enjoyed myself in Hyde, even though I know a lot of people didn't like that book. So I don't know. I'm gonna see kind of what the reviews are like, but that one's on my radar. I've enjoyed stuff from her before, so possibly. Then I do have an arc of Wolfworm by T. Kingfisher. This is her next standalone. Sorry, my camera cut off and I don't know when it did, but basically it's set in 1899. This woman is an illustrator, like a scientific illustrator, and she gets hired by this doctor to come document his collection, but something bad happened to the last person who was there. So, here's a question. How long is this? Okay. This bodes well. It's 288 pages. I think T. Kingfisher is at her best when she keeps it tight. I think she's good at a novella, a short story, and a 300-ish page novel. She can get a little rambly sometimes, but I think when she's traditionally edited or like traditionally published, she gets the editing she needs more often. So I'm excited for that. I think that sounds like a scary premise, and it's another historical one for her. So sort of in the same vein of What Moves the Dead. I'm assuming this is probably a retelling of some kind because that is like her jam, which I love. So I'll have to see exactly what retelling it is. Okay. And then the next one is probably the thing I'm most excited about of anything on this list. So we have a new Alona Andrews series coming out from a traditional publisher. It is so exciting. Shout out to Joss. I try not to show favoritism amongst people who contact me for PR, but I do love her. So I was glad I got to say yes to her on this. This Kingdom Will Not Kill Me by Alona Andrews is the start of a new frickin' series from them. And it is a person who's obsessed with this dark fantasy series who wakes up in that world and nobody can kill her. She's like trying to rewrite, like she knows, it'd be the equivalent of like a Tolkien obsessive waking up in the Lord of the Rings. But like she knows everything about the world and she can change things, but she can't die. I'm so excited to see where this goes. It's chunky. I will say I have been struggling a little bit with Alona Andrews' self-published stuff recently just because I've noticed some things about their writing that I'm finding hard to unsee, and it's making them less exciting because I can expect what's going to happen to some degree. So I'm excited to see if the different editing situation kind of, just freshens things up a little bit. especially because I would love another Hidden Legacy book, and I think it's going to be a while till we get that. So I'm so excited there's a new series. I think this is going to get like a full nice edition, so I might have to go buy that because I think it's going to have like maps and stuff in it. So excited for this. This comes out in March. Okay, so we don't have to wait that long for this. So that honestly is the most exciting thing that's happening right now in terms of books I'm anticipating. Okay, and then theoretically the Roxane Gay book about writing is going to come out. Who knows? We've been Lucia the Football with this for a long time, but maybe in theory. And then Fonda Lee has a new, I think, novella coming out that sounded interesting. I really like that last novella that she wrote with the bird thing. That was really good. This one it's a searing standalone space opera where corporate samurai fight beneath merciless stars and death is always a mere breath away. I mean, yeah, corporate samurai ... in space is the ending log line. So that sounds rad to me. How long is it? Oh no, it's not a novella. It's a full-on novel, 416 pages. Okay. Well, as long as there's another writing thing that Fonda Lee sometimes does that I don't like, but given the time frame of this, of how long it sounds like this story will take place, I think we'll be okay. So look at me. I'm just out here trying not to spoil what writing tics I have noticed and annoy me sometimes. Okay, and then finally there is another Nora Roberts standalone suspense. This one is called The Final Target. Let's see here. Okay, it sounds like The Final Target is a romantic suspense with an author who gets an obsessive fan who assaults her, and she has to kind of rebuild her life from there, and then he's getting out of prison, so that's where the suspense will come from. So yeah, I love Nora Roberts' romantic suspenses. Sounds like she's going to move to a little town in Oregon. That should be super cozy and fun. So yeah, I think that one will be good. Sounds like a Nora Roberts that I will like. Okay, and then finally I have 1, 2, 3 kind of X Factor picks that I've seen floating around that sound intriguing to me. The first one is called The Lies That Summon the Night by Tessania Odette. I mean, the cover is gorge, so that's honestly what caught my eye first when I saw it out there. But it does sound like an interesting beginning of a fantasy series. Or romantasy series. Let's see here. Ever since art gave life to bloodthirsty shadows, creative works have been forbidden and the talented creators sacrificed to the sinless, the immortal royals who feast on human blood in return for their protection. Inanna's secret storytelling nearly got her killed once, and she'll be damned if she's ever caught again. With a bounty on her head, she keeps to the city's dark underbelly where she earns a meager living until she meets a Dominic, who's a Shadowbane. And he's a half-sinless monster hunter as fearsome as his prey. So it's sort of like, you know, he's the monster hunter, she's the monster, they're gonna fall in love. I'm gonna wait and see kind of what reviews are like. Especially, I probably will also do a writing check on that one because I think this one would be very execution dependent for me to like it. But I like that idea of art being forbidden. I think that's a fun concept, so I'm intrigued. We'll see what the reviews are like. Then another kind of cozy romance fantasy called Only Spell Deep by Ava Morgan was on my radar. So it's pitched as Rebecca meets the craft in this dark atmospheric novel. Oh, okay, I guess it's not cozy. For some reason I thought it was cozy. Of one witch rediscovering her power while on the run from another willing to kill her for it. So I think that sounds kind of intriguing. Judith Cole has always had uncanny abilities, but when she arrived at her grandfather's estate, she was forced to keep them a secret. She lived a harsh life under his rule. Until that fateful day she ignited fire with her magic. It was the last time she saw her family alive. 17 years later, she's living in Seattle as Jude Clark and failing at life, and she makes a last detour through her favorite bookstore, selecting a book to read as she waits to die. But when she pulls it from the shelf, an invitation to her for a clandestine midnight meeting slips out, and she's quickly swept up into a world of secrets and magic, led by the mysterious, enigmatic Arla. And it sounds like Arla's maybe going to be the baddie, and then there's a bookseller named named Levi, who she's going to maybe fall in love with. So anyway, there's a lot of interesting components to that. Not your typical, like fantasy romance situation, contemporary fantasy romance. So I'm also intrigued by that. And it has pretty good ratings so far. So yeah, that one I'm intrigued by. And then last but not least, I have Invasive Species by Ellery Adams on my list. And this, first of all, I love the cover. Which is no shallow, but hey, I think the cover is supposed to tell you kind of the vibe, so I think that's a valid reason to be drawn in. So here's the description. The women in Cold Harbor all have something to prove, and they'll have to do it in a world full of monsters. Something's not quite right, more so than usual. While the sleepy small town has seen its fair share of monsters and cheating husbands and leering bosses, none are as hungry as Mrs. Smith. The mysterious resident has finally emerged from her crumbling mansion on the hill, mesmerizing the town people with her beauty. Her secret, 9 human sacrifices to keep her, to feed her immortality. So I think that inevitably they're going to try to thwart her. But I just thought that was an interesting description, an interesting premise. So, and actually has really good reviews so far. So yeah, I've got my eye on that one as well. So yeah, those are the 18 books I've got my eyes on so far for 2026. More will inevitably come across my radar because that is how things go. But yeah, just honestly, if no other books I was interested in came out in 2026, just that list would actually be pretty great. And a solid year of reading. So I am excited. Let me know if there are ones that you think that I will be excited by that I did not mention, because they're very well, I'm sure I've missed a lot. Let me know if any of those sound good to you that I did talk about. And yeah, I think that'll do it. So, like if you liked it, hit the bell if you want to know when I'm going to post. It is getting to the end of the year, so I probably will be posting more. So if you want to know when that happens, I don't know yet either. So hit the bell. And that'll do it for me. Take care of yourself, take care of your friends and family and your neighbors, and I will just talk to you soon. Bye!